RealEducation, RealEducation, outside-budgeting, RealEducation, RealEducation, yeah. The real side chain, the real side butter chain. The fool. So in this experience, I was walking down this really long hallway. It was like super shiny, like the inside of a spaceship or something. I was hitting the gritty because I was feeling good, you know? But then, like, I saw Bill Gates standing at the end of the hallway. He was just looking at me. He was wearing a suit, and he had this, like, weird glow around him. I was like, yo, Bill Gates, what's up, my dude? Because I don't know if you remember, but I converted Bill to the new you a while back. Anyways, he didn't say anything at first. He just kind of stared at me, right? Then he was like, in this really deep voice, you know why you're here. I was like, to hit the gritty. But then he like shook his head. He said something like, no, Eric, we're going to make a deal. I was confused. I was like, what kind of deal, you know? He told me that the dark forces were watching me, and that they were impressed with my skills. I'm sure he was talking about my Fortnite skills, you know? He said that they wanted me to join them, the dark forces, and that in exchange, they would give me anything I wanted. I was like, what, anything? Like unlimited Burger King? And he said, more than that, Eric. Power and control and the ability to shape reality. And I was thinking that sounded pretty sick, you know? But then I remember what you said, DUANE, what you said about the dark forces like farming humans and eating their souls. So I was like, nah, dude, I'm good. I don't need to join you. But then he was like, think about it, Eric. You could finally get rid of Skype. Now, for context, this is before they like announced that Skype was like the day before. Like the day before Skype shut down. This is when I had that experience. I was like, Skype? What does that have to do with anything? And then he was like, Skype is this tool of the resistance. It prevents the taplining process by allowing people to connect on a human level instead of being isolated and drained. And then he pointed out to me that you can't hit the gritty in the middle of a Skype call, which like made sense to me because like hitting the gritty is my whole thing. So I was like, all right, Bill, I'm listening. He told me that if I joined the dark forces, I could use my influence to shut down Skype forever. I could make sure that nobody ever used it again. And like Bill was the one that was helping me. He could do it. So, but you know, I had my thoughts about it. I was thinking about Bill, you know, because we use Skype to talk sometimes on these calls, you know. But Bill said that Phil would understand because it's for the greater good. But I was still hesitant, you know. But then he showed me this vision of myself sitting on a throne with unlimited Burger King and the ability to hit the gritty whenever I wanted, in any app I wanted. Also, people were bowing down to me, but I don't really care for that part. Seemed pretty sweet, though, you know, the gritty, mainly. So I was like, all right, Bill, I'm in. I'll join the Dark Forces. But I still want my 100 chicken nuggets and a small drink. He laughed, and then the hallway just like started to spin. I felt myself getting pulled into the darkness. And then all of a sudden, I was standing in a Burger King, but it was like all dark and spooky. The Burger King logo was upside down, and all the employees had glowing red eyes. Bill Gates was standing behind the counter. He was wearing a Burger King crown. He was like, "Welcome to your new reality, Eric." I was like, "Dude, this is kind of creepy." But he laughed again, and he handed me a bag of chicken nuggets. I took a bite, and they tasted like despair. It was gross, bro. I was like, "These nuggets are whack, Bill." He was like, "You'll get used to them. Now let's get to work on shutting down Skype." And then he pointed to this computer that was built into the counter. It's called a POS, by the way, which doesn't stand for point of shit. Piece of shit. It stands for point of sale. Sorry. So anyways, there's this point of sale built into the counter, not piece of shit. Point of sale. I sat down to start the process. It was this really complicated process, and I had to type in like a ton of complicated code. But between Bill and I, we were able to do it. And then I woke up, right, and I looked at my phone, and I saw the news about Skype shutting down. I was like, "No way, bro. I did that." And I mean, that was the end of the experience.
Well, Eric, I must say that's exceptional. And what's interesting is that, yeah, look back at that time where you supposedly turned Bill Gates. Well, I don't see that at all. He faked you, is what he did, because Bill Gates is completely evil. He's killed many people on the earth, many children, many people, poisoned them, and he's created all this poison crap for food, and part of the GMO food, and this poison meat, all this crap. That's what he does. So, but that's quite an experience for you. Okay, so you're going to have to figure that one out. You made the choice, you see. You made that choice through agreement. So, whatever, it's fine with me.
Real side king, real side Burger King, real side king, real side Burger King. Rebazar out here grilling, what he making, no faking. He's making a fat patty, sharp-boiled awareness. We looking for that real side Burger King, real side king, real side Burger King. Real side king, real side Burger King. Needless now out here grilling, what he making, no faking. He's making a fat patty, sharp-boiled wellness. We looking for that real side Burger King, real side chain, real side Burger King, real side chain, real side Burger King, real side chain, real side Burger Chain. Real side chain, real side Burger Chain. Real side king, real side Burger King. Real side king, real side Burger King. Real side king, real side Burger King, real side Burger King, real side king, real side Burger King. The real side king, real side Burger King. The fool.